of time, so we can then start the session. We let the participants join in as and when. Welcome all to this session on body language. To begin with, I would just reiterate a quote by Deborah Bull, who says, body language is a very powerful tool. We had body language even before we had speech. And apparently, 80% of what you understand in a conversation is read through the body, not the words. We have here with us from Simply Body, Bhavna Slaria, who is expert at behavior training, and she is the trainer at Simply Body Talk. She has years of experience teaching organizational psychology. Her research has been published in several international journals, and she has conducted workshops for senior level managers of top organizations such as SBI Life Insurance, the GST department of our government. She has also conducted group coaching. She also conducts group coaching and personal coaching for presentations, media interviews by Simply Body Talk. Now, what is Simply Body Talk, who is collaborating or who's here organizing this workshop along with Toastmasters of Delhi? Simply Body Talk specializes in the niche segment of non-verbal communication. And over the years, they have created a name in the international space. Their clients are middle and senior level managers from some of the well-known international organizations and have a range of services from corporate coaching programs, open format events, online courses, and so on. They have worked with companies such as Adani, Wipro, Deloitte, Panasonic, Cipla, Capgemini, Google, and the list goes on and on and on. With that, I would now like to welcome on the stage the team from Simply Body Talk. Bhavna, over to you. Welcome, please.
Thank you so much. So I guess there would be some.
Not hear you.
Am I not audible? Am I audible now?
Yes, you are, Bhavna. Go ahead.
At least, yeah, you are audible to us. Yes.
Thank you so much. Yes. So before we begin, do we have some speeches lined up, or we start with the session?
Bhavna, we have 3 speakers today.
Sure. And who are these speakers? Will they be starting out right away?
Yeah. So one is Nupur Avasti, second is Ritika Garg, and third is Sneha Manocha.
Sure. So now, would one of you just start with the session that you have, whatever you've prepared, so that we could just start over? And then I would give you some effective inputs about the kind of, say, content that you spoke on. Because as we know, Toastmasters is focused more on public speaking. So what was those areas which are very effective of yours in terms of body language? So yeah, any one of the 3 would do.
You want to go first?
I think her audio is a bit shaky for me. Can she repeat, Bhavna?
I said any of the 3 speakers who were supposed to start speaking, any one of them could start.
Okay. I can go first.
Sure.
Happy to kick it off. Yeah. Rohan, just one thing, is screen share allowed here in this? Yeah, all right. Just bear with me for a moment, please. I fell in love in college. His name was Ted. It was not a 50-50% partnership, which generally is the case. It was more of a kind of one-sided affair. Okay, I want to share the screen right now, actually. Yeah. So this is me in college. In my defense, Irfan Khan was good looking at that time. And now I'm about to introduce you to Ted. Yeah, here is Ted. So, dear listeners, my name is Ritika, and I must tell you, when I saw that raised up stage, that pitch dark room, and all the eyes on that TED dot, that red circle where the speaker stands, and the white light focus, it was the love at first sight. The absolute power a presenter has over the entire audience. And with just words, mere words, can you imagine? He can change lives of people. I dared to dream of standing on that stage one day. It was a dream, like the one all of us have. Now you just fast forward 5 years, okay? And now you see this. This is me in my office working. I'm the odd one out, but I'm still smiling because I'm the one with cake here. I'm a marketer with an energy company. It's an MNC. It's a cushy job. During these years, I earned a degree in design. I did my MBA in marketing. Just like all my friends, I went on trip with my family. I forgot birthdays of my friends. I congratulated them on their anniversaries on Facebook, took new resolutions every year, reading top 10 resolutions to take on different websites. So in a nutshell, I'm trying to say that life happened. In daily chores, work, family, friends, our dreams stay hidden. That time in college, I didn't have a plan, but I had a dream. Today, I still may not have that plan, but I have not given up on it. I'm taking step towards it every day, every hour. That is something which keeps me motivated. Somehow I know that I might not be, knowing the date when I'm going to go on a stage, not on TED, but on some other platform. But somehow I know that if I hang in there for enough time, that as I keep going, the path will become clearer. So, dear listeners, I would like to ask you that, have you ever heard yourself saying, I so want to do this. I wish I could do this. And then after that thought, after that hour, life takes over. Well, I'm here to tell you today that it happens with all of us, best of us. But if you choose to even keep thinking of pursuing it, not even take action, but just keep that dream alive, but just keep that pursuit alive, you will take step towards it one day. And that day, the ball will set on rolling and it will only move faster and faster. So I urge all of you to not give up on your pursuits. Thank you so much.
Well said. Yeah, it was a very good speech. So just to give you brief inputs about what was very well, you started off with a story, which is very effective because when we do coaching of say public speaking or presentation, that's what, when we talk of say body language, that is one aspect. And the other aspect is how can you use content? So when we talk of storytelling, it helps to bind the audience, and there are different types of it. One of it, which you spoke. So it helps to create a connect with the audience because they know that something is coming, which they can definitely relate directly or indirectly to. And the impact of your content goes way above that. So that was good. Another good point that I loved about the way you spoke was you took effective pauses. So one thing is, you know your content, you just speak. Other is try to take a pause so that your audience know what you have just said. It's either you're speaking something and you want their attention, total attention towards it. That's when you take pause. So when you took pauses, it actually helped very well to connect to the audience who are not even there in front on an online platform. Still, they are able to connect, to feel those emotions, or to understand the impact of what you're trying to speak to them. Now, on the areas that could be improved, that we are going to cover in the session, so that I'm not touching upon at all. But yeah, all in all, it was a very good attempt and it was a great speech. So yes, now, who would be the next one? There were two more, right?
I'll go next.
Sure.
Over here. Right. We'll start. Good morning, teachers and friends. My name is Nupur Avasthi. I study in KGA. I like to play with my friends. My best friend's name is Cadbury, and that's my dog. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, how many of you remember the introductions you had to give in front of the teachers, students, or the guests your parents used to parade in front of you in front of? Giving introduction, I understand, is not easy, and there's nothing standard about it. Some of you might think, what's there in an introduction? It's just a piece of cake. Now, just you wait till your next interview or a Toastmasters icebreaker speaks. We now need to learn not just how to give our introductions face-to-face, but also virtually in meetings and social media. In this fast-paced environment, you never know what will hit you. For example, I got 2 Instagram follow requests from 2 different users with exact same description, exact same photos, and even their son's name was exact. A copy paste, not just in the introduction, but in the entire profile. When we introduce ourselves, what do you think do we include? Of course, we include our name. Sometimes we include where are we coming from, the hometown background, our occupation or the desired occupation, any key aspects to impress the person who we are speaking in front of it, and some hobbies or passions. Now, when we think about name, I really don't know why my parents named me Nupur. After all, they should have known if you name your daughter Ghunguru, which makes such loud noise, though melodious, there is bound to be some influence, right? After all, even hard rock is melodious for some. So being loud is not my fault. We all have a few hobbies and passions, but let's all be true to ourselves here. Sometimes we just make up things to impress the person listening. Now, let's say there was a boy trying to impress a girl. Now, what would the standard hobbies be? For sure, that would be, I love healthy eating. I love to go to gym 4 times a week. Just some time, he just needs to make sure that none of his friends pop up, reminding him, boss, we have to go to have Chola Bhatura at Nagpals. Till that time, all is well. Now, before the evaluators tell me that you haven't given a takeaway, here is my 2 cents. There are so many renowned people who have acknowledged that they have stage fright, but also emphasize that it's just the thing that makes them do better every time and strive for perfection. You might get butterflies in your stomach. You might feel your face flush about talking about things you're passionate about. Some people can probably see that happening right now. You can also see the audience in a face-to-face environment, their eyes piercing right through. But the best way to beat all of this is be yourself. This is your introduction, only and only about you. So make sure that the audience, whoever is listening, knows what you want them to know about you. And all will be worth it. Thank you.
Yeah, we can give a virtual one or the real ones. Anyone would do. Yes, very well said. So yeah, in terms of the body language aspects, what worked very well was the kind of gestures that you use. So effective gestures help us to tell exactly what you're trying to tell to the audience. So when your words are backed by effective body language, the level at which it's understood by the audience is very high. Also, what was very well used by you was the space that was around you. Now, normally when we are doing public speaking, it's a stage, and what is the benefit for us is that we can roam around and use whatever we have, right? You can say that I'm right now not using much on content because the focus is more on body language. The content was perfect. It's just the body language aspects that I'm going to focus more on. So the effective use of space, which was very limited, but still you very nicely put out certain times when you went ahead and then went back, it creates an impact on the audience who's trying to see you, even in an online format. Obviously, in person, it's totally different, but in an online format also, effective gestures create great impact on you. So those were some effective points. Now we move to the last one. This is the third one. See, right?
Yeah.
Please.
Hello. I hope I'm audible to everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you. So first of all, I would like to thank you, Rohan, for this wonderful opportunity, and a very warm good evening to all of you. I'm Sneha Manocha, and did I seem a bit of it that I may have missed out something, or my audio got stuck or some kind of thing? If I did, I think I've made my point here. But what if I didn't? Then in that case, I do have a long way to go and do have to take a lot from this session. So basically, I like to begin my speech. However, when I was given this opportunity, I was concerned. What should be the topic for today's speech. So I thought, why not consider the same topic of the workshop and try and implement it on my own? And let's see, how can I implement that particular topic on my own and see whether it fits with the alignment of the message I am trying to deliver. So we all have heard speeches about body language, thin slicing, vocal vigor, and everything, covering the stage areas, introducing ourselves, the unnatural and the natural presence of a speaker. So we all are aware that when a speaker walks in on the stage, from there you have been judged over to the end of the speech. And here, I am being judged on the same basis. So when we try to implement these things, it should come from within ourselves. We should feel it. Here, I'll just give you a one short example on effective communication of a body language. I was rehearsing and practicing this speech because I don't want to screw it up, of course. And this is a virtual platform. And in virtual platforms, generally we don't have this physical interaction. And there your message could be undermined or maybe misinterpreted. So, how do you try to draw this attention to yourself? Build that kind of a trust. So, hence, I practiced this speech with my younger sister. So it was an impromptu, instinctive speech. And when I was speaking it, it went great. And she told, oh, she liked it. But I felt, no, it's a bit of lack of a flow and I want to frame it again. So I framed it again and I made a great flow of it. But you know what happened? She was able to guess that it was unnatural. It was, coming out unnaturally. It was visible to her that I'm thinking and framing and speaking. So that's the whole message we have here, that the unnatural way of speaking is recognized by audience. And hence, while we speak about any topic, any given topic, we should feel it from within. And I would really like to appreciate Nupur ma'am, like how she started with the introduction of a lower KG kid because she wanted to portray that character. So any given day when we talk about body language, it's the building of a professional and a personal relationship where you can draw trust, attention, or give a message in a certain manner. And hence, it should always come to us in an impromptu manner, not consciously. So, in the end, I would just like to say that the best way to communicate and the best way of communication is hearing what isn't said. Thank you all for being a patient listener.
Great. Yeah, we can applaud either virtually or actually in by keeping your videos on. Yeah. So yeah, what really worked for you was effectively by the start of the presentation or when you started speaking, you remove your specs. Now, was it a conscious decision or you just did it in the flow before I start? I don't know. I'm just asking.
I removed it because I could, virtually, my eye contact should be there. My expression of eye should be visible.
Yes. Yeah. So now that is very effective because body language wise, anything that's coming between you and your audience could be serving as a barrier. And when you're removing the specs, specifically when we do say sales coaching and all, we actually tell them if you're having a conversation with the client and at a moment, if they're removing their specs, it means a lot because the decision could be made in that particular section if you're observant about it. So that was very well done by you to create a connect with the audience. That was a very effective technique. Also, what I liked about was you smiled through the presentation. Not forever smiling works, but once in a while, if you give a genuine smile, a real one, because as you said correctly, body language reveals the truth. So if it's a genuine smile or a real smile, it helps to connect with the audience because then the message is going very effectively to them, and then you would be able to connect with the content that you have been trying to portray. So in those manners, the speech was very well said. All three speakers were very well. The content was very good. Even the body language was perfect. Now, what tweaks could be done that we would be seeing in the presentation right now. So I'll start with the presentation. Just give me a second. Yes. So it's called Body Language for Public Speaking, specifically for you people. Now, before we begin, here's a quick thing that I would want from you. What are the challenges that you're facing specifically with public speaking when it comes to online setup? If you could just put out some pointers or certain problems that you've come across specifically with the online format of your public speaking, which you face. You can put out the messages in the chat. I could just go through them. Or if you can unmute, that would also work. There are messages coming up. Okay. Internet, yes. Voice modulation, yes, which was done by the speakers very effectively. Use of stage online. Okay. Reaction properly, very good. Eye contact could be a problem. Hand gestures. Yes, you don't know whether the audience is with you or not because the audio may be on, video may be on or not. Delivery of humor in terms of how you're going to speak to them. Okay, standing up and speaking. Yes, you can stand, you can sit. Even that would create an impact. Facial expression, that's the only scope that you have of observation. Yes, relay and communication, hard to connect. Sometimes you may not be able to connect because you really don't know. As you know, even I am unaware of any of you people. Patchy connections could be an issue. That is the reason when we are giving tips, we say that try to pace your words slowly. So if there's a gap here and there, there's not too much of loss. Movement are restricted, yes, very badly. Even the ones who presented, they would have been doing it very differently when it comes to, say, in a face-to-face format. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a video. Just observe in terms of what could have been better for this speaker here. It's a very small video. Just observe it and then we'll start. Okay. I think you may be able to hear it. I'm not sure because when we do it, let's see. Even if you're not able to hear, just see what you can observe.
No, can't hear Bhavna.
Yes, because when we put out videos, like when I have the option of screen share, one second, let me try one more bit. Yeah, now you would be able to hear. Just give me a second.
Is to
Audible?
stay calm and ask yourself, what is the next right move? Mr. Toastmaster and fellow Toastmasters, tonight I'm going to introduce myself to you. I'm Varnika, or as I was officially named.
Yes. Do you want to hear it again?
Yeah, I guess it'd be good.
Okay. You just have to see whether she looks confident or not. And how that is coming across.
Is to stay calm and ask yourself, what is the next right move? Mr. Toastmaster and fellow Toastmasters, tonight I'm going to introduce myself to you. I'm Varnika, or as I was officially named.
Yes. So yeah, was she looking confident?
No,
No?
because
Yes.
because she is the seeing here and there. She is looking downwards. She is looking upwards. Yeah.
Yes. Could you guess why could be that happening? Anyone?
Because she's kind of restricting herself in that environment by folding hands or just by there. So she's not able to speak freely.
Hello, Charudat here.
Yes.
So it looks like she is giving this speech in front of the camera. That's why her eyes are going down on screen and then again up, like that.
The reason why that was happening was that's because the way, or as he correctly said, the camera was somewhere else, but where she was looking was totally different. That's the reason, as a trick, what we say is, if I'm speaking right now, the screen is such that the eye for maintaining direct eye contact with you people, it's right below the camera. So even if I look anywhere else, it shows that I'm maintaining direct eye contact with you. That was the only thing that could have been improved. Also, if you saw, she went up and down. That was just because she was getting conscious. Now, what happens with online format? We have to consciously keep on looking. Like right now also, the more I'm focused, I try to observe more of you, not of me. Because even I'm visible to myself, so I may just keep on looking at me. And if my frame goes here and there, I will keep on constantly adjusting myself. That's what was also happening to her. Again, a specific problem done with online. So when we talk of say our clients, we say that practice beforehand. Try to see how you would adjust the frame in such a way that it's perfect, and then you don't have to look at all at yourself. Just try and look at other people, because constant looking here and there, constant adjustment was creating too much of movement, making her look, as all of us collectively thought, not so confident. So that's how online could be a challenge.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So my question is like, was it a confidence issue or was it a camera alignment issue? Because she was looking at somewhere else was because camera was not aligned.
Yes.
But does it convey that she's not confident? I mean, did I get my point? I mean, can you clarify on that a bit? Yeah.
Yeah. So what you said was her camera was somewhere else. That's the reason she was not looking confident. Now, why that was happening precisely? It's not like she was not confident. The constant correction of her own self. This is what starts happening. Meaning, you may when people start speaking, they may have not been observing themselves. That may have happened with you also. When you start speaking, and if you're standing in the mirror and looking at you, you will constantly start adjusting yourself, because you're like, "Nee, this is not correct. This could be improved." And in that process, the content may go haywire. So even if she was confident, the constant correction due to the online format made her look less confident. Okay. So in that process, just to focus where to look made her forget what she wanted to do. So the content could have been good, but all because of these adjustments, such a problem could exist. I hope that answered your question.
Yes. Thank you.
Great. Now we move to another video. Yes. Try and observe. Again, I've written clearly what could be better. Another peculiar problem with online format.
We left our friends at our tables and came together and continued that discussion. So right now we're lacking those spaces. There's a couple ways that we can create those spaces though. First of all, students need...
Yes. Do you want to play it again? I'll just play.
We left our friends at our tables and came together and continued that discussion. So right now we're lacking those spaces. There's a couple ways that we can create those spaces though. First of all, students need...
Yes. So what was happening here? What could have been improved? Do you think it was a content problem or what it was?
No, it's a internet issue. It's
Okay.
His video was buffering.
No, it was not the video buffering. It is that he forgot in that sentence what to go for next. Now, what happens when we have like the entire person to observe face to face, the scope of observation is more. So even if I am feeling bit of say anxious, that may not be visible because I have too much of frame visible. Now with the online format, I just have this much to observe. So even if there is slight anxiousness, it's very nicely caught, as that could be seen in this particular person. Could you feel that hesitancy in him? So that was because the scope of observation is less. That happens specifically with online, because with face to face, you have an entire body. That's the reason we make sure that you use your entire body, so that even if you're feeling anxious, that may get curbed by the other gestures that you're using, which goes in this particular format, because then the scope is less, and then every small change, as someone said, facial expressions or the upper part of the body which is visible, any slight change is very nicely highlighted, as could be seen in this particular individual. Now we move to some other challenges that exist, some of which we have covered here. So less variations, just because there's not too much of scope, we are not able to do too much of variations. Even I think that you would also agree, the ones who even presented, they could have used much more different ways of presenting if they were in person as compared to now. Any form of slight anxiety gets highlighted like anything. So even if you slightly start feeling stressed here and there, could be because you know the content, but still worrying about the internet issue, worrying about whether you were heard clearly, whether the audience was able to connect, all those challenges that you listed, any of them worrying you could create an anxiety. That happens even with me. Now, you don't know who the audience is, how huge is the audience, because then we are doing a face-to-face, you know whether it's 10, 20, 100,000. Depending on that, you could vary your gestures, you could vary your body language. Stage movements are actually gone unless and until you're doing it on when you're standing and speaking. Again, then it leads to another set of issues, because when we talk of too many gestures, it can lead to distraction, because it's just that less of you is visible. If I start using too much of hand gestures, and if there's an internet lag happening, you will just see my hands moving, nothing of me. So those kind of issues could come up, creating a distraction for the audience. Then we also have the last, which is, one second, I can't, yes, we don't know any kind of audience reactions, as you have clearly said. Still, if the videos are on, somewhat you can able to gauge it, but the way those claps and those appreciation points that were visible in the face-to-face setting has been minimized. So now how to overcome that? For that, we have case studies by Steve Jobs. Yes, as we know, he was a very good presenter. There are certain areas which we have highlighted through different videos. Now we'll see how he used effective body language to create a connect with his audience. Now this is a task for you. It's a small video. Just observe what is he doing in order to create a connect with the audience. I'll just give you a hint. It's about the dressing, but what exactly is he doing and what happens then to the audience? You're supposed to observe that.
So thank you.
Yeah, I'll play it again.
So thank you.
Yeah. So how did he create a connect with the audience? Moving on stage. Okay. Yes.
Smile.
Great. What else? With specific to dressing, if I ask.
Pulling up the sleeves.
Yes. What happens if you pull up your sleeves? You may have seen leaders when they're speaking and suddenly their hands, they roll up the sleeves. That's a very effective way. Why? Because he is someone who's the CEO. If he wants to tell the audience that I am coming down at your level so that you're able to see what my point of view is and try to understand even your point of view, this is a very effective way. Totally non-verbal, you're not doing anything else, but just rolling up sleeves. There are other ways also which people do. They just remove the jacket. If you may have seen, sometimes before they start presenting, they remove the coat and keep it aside, just to create a connect. As like you, removing of specs is also one way, just trying to build a connect with the audience. So different ways in which he does that. Now we move to another video of his where he's trying to build trust. So see, what is he doing in terms of his body language to build trust with his audience? A very effective way.
Mini. Well, now we're going to replace the iPod Mini with a new player, an entirely new ground-up design that also has 1,000 songs in your pocket, and it's called the iPod Nano. The iPod Nano is the biggest revolution since the original iPod. A lot of people have worked so hard on this over the last.
Yeah. One person has asked a question. After this, I'll answer. What did he do? Was it easy to spot? Do you want to see the video again? Yes, okay. Hands are open, yes. Something specific that he does?
I think he showed the tiny pocket inside the jeans and that iPod Nano can fit inside that. So
yes.
Created an impact.
Great. And that was a slide. So now when you're presenting and you have a slide with you, it's a very good practice to not to stand anywhere below the slide. Like if my slide is here, I can't be standing right away here. Similarly, when we talk of public speaking, standing behind a podium, table, chair, whatever is there ahead of you, if you go behind and stand and speak, then the audience may not be able to trust you. Now, why? Because body language wise, the more I'm able to see the person, the easier it will be for me to believe that they are not a harm to me. Because again, the logic goes very simple. You are not there to harm me. So if I'm able to see you, I know you're not carrying anything to harm me in terms of weapons or anything. So the more you're visible, the better it is for them to build trust. That's the reason presentation, if you have seen any of his presentations were somewhere else, he was somewhere else, he never stepped onto the presentation. Making sure that the audience is not, he's not creating himself as a barrier for his audience.
So,
yeah.
Can I ask?
Yes, please.
So, first question is like my own experience as a speaker. Like many a times, a speaker gets more confidence when he's at a podium. Then he's completely exposed. At least I have experienced myself. So is it we have to keep audience in mind or our own confidence? If at all by standing without podium and we are nervous, then we may not be able to deliver better. But if it is a podium there, possibly it gives a support. I don't know what kind of support.
Yes,
but it brings an additional element of confidence. I mean, this is my personal experience. I may not like to generalize it, but I'm just asking.
No, that's what happens. So when I was saying the more you're visible, what happens when we start feeling discomfort or when we are uncomfortable in a situation, we want to make sure that we try to hide ourselves. So when you're saying you're feeling comfortable by standing behind a podium, that's because it's a secret place for you because people can't see you. You feel like, yeah, I am safe here. That's the reason. Just like for other person, you may be a threat. For you also, when you're uncomfortable, you want to be at a place where less of you is visible so that you are comfortable. So when you're saying you're more comfortable behind the podium, that's because the discomfort is getting reduced.
And last question, while I do not want to hijack the discussion, but only like I just missed it. Like in the first video, he tried to pull his sleeves up. Does it convey something? Does it show he's confident? Because generally person pulls the sleeves when he is in that aggression or like that shows a confident body. Is that what you want to
see? When we talk of body language, I understood what you're trying to speak because rolling up sleeves could mean different depending on the context. So when we talk of body language, it's context specific. So when you're saying rolling up sleeve is a sign of aggression, that is dependent on what is the situation we like. When you're charging up to fight, that's perfect. But here, as a leader, he wanted to show his team that I am coming down at your level. And one of the ways to indicate that is more of my skin is visible. That shows that I'm coming at your level. It's lowering down from his position. Because the more, just like the more of you is visible, the more likely they're able to connect with you. That's the reason. I think one more person also asked the question that I think answers the question here. Now, one person is set to play the video again. Do I need to play again? Okay, I'll just play it. Or you want to proceed further? Because I just saw the message.
I guess we can move further now.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we move to the next one. Now here again, he's trying to grab attention of the audience. Try and see how he does that.
So what are we going to do? Oh, a stylus, right? We're going to use a stylus. No. No. Who wants a stylus? You have to get them and put them away and you lose them. Yuck. Nobody wants a stylus. So let's not use a stylus. We're going to use the best pointing device in the world.
Yes. So how did he grab attention of the audience? Something of the similar, even one of the presenters did. Humor, okay. Humor he used to highlight a problem. So when as a speaker, even when I think, yes, he used voice modulation also. When Nupur was presenting, she made sure she created or highlighted a certain aspect of the problem of how we have to keep on introducing forever. And then how do we learn to tweak over the time? Similarly, when you're doing or making a speech, very effective way to grab attention of the audience is highlight a problem, just like he did. Stylus was a problem, and how to solve create a solution for the same. Now, when that is happening, the audience knows this is something which I can relate to. So it could be any topic that you're discussing, but a particular problem that you're facing or some problem which is related to your topic could be highlighted and then provide a solution. That not only helps the audience who also may be facing the same problem, but also understand or grab attention of this. Yes. One of you have said using a visual aid. Yes, he loved using visual aids forever. But even if you can't use visual aid, we saw Anupur actually acted it out and showed precisely what she wanted to show and highlighted the problem, which could also be used. Now we move to the next one. Again, jobs. Now, why we are using too many of videos? Because body language is something which you understand more by seeing than by me just speaking about it. That's the reason more videos exist.
Anywhere from 2 to 3 months of inventory in our manufacturing supplier pipeline and about an equal amount in our distribution channel pipeline. So we're having to make guesses 4, 5, 6 months in advance about what the customer wants. And we're not smart enough to do that. I don't think Einstein's smart enough to do that. So what we're going to do.
So here he uses very effective hand gestures to put out the message to the audience very clearly of what he's trying to portray to them. Just like when you're speaking, the gestures keep on varying depending on the kind of message that you're trying to put. Now, the problem that would happen here, or what I would want you to think of, is using this tips that we have discussed in the online format, because these are in person. So when you're using them in an online format, what are the tweaks that you would do? Another one where he's showing confidence, and what is he doing to do so?
So great performance, great battery life. Now, one other thing that benefits from fast data, of course, is GPS. And we've built that into the new iPhone 3G as well.
So one of the effective ways to show confidence is using effective hand gestures at the right place. So when I'm saying using at the right place, meaning where do we gesture, also creates an impact on the audience. So these were some effective ways in which the challenges that exist for online format can be overcome by using these techniques. How? When you're using hand gestures, using varied ones, using deliberate movements to create that impact, making sure that you're maintaining effective eye contact with them. Also, using them in the right place would also help you to connect with them. Obviously, highlighting problems, providing solutions for grabbing attention would also help. And with this, I would like to call upon Komal. If any questions, please keep on asking. Komal?
Okay, thank you so much, Bhavna. So with all of this being said and done, this is just a tip of an iceberg. Body language is something that we can't really, enclose in 1 hour. Hence, we would like to help you by pitching our or talking about a personal coaching for public speaking, wherein we can help you give the body language approach when it comes to public speaking, and the ultimate goal being helping you implement, or give the best of the speeches when you give it in a very effective way. So when it comes to personal coaching, we can help you give a very, customized kind of coaching wherein your needs or your situations are kept in mind, and we'll be devising a training according to that. And the main part or the main aim would be basically to help you out deliver speeches. While you already are working on the verbal front, we can help you through the non-verbal front, in the end making sure that whatever message you want to give to the audience is very clear and concise. Also with that, everything being online these days, and I really think this is something that would continue for a while, we can also help you out with the online course for body language for video presence being so important these days. We can help you out with that as well. Moving ahead, if you have any questions to Bhavna right now, you can direct those. We'll just wait for a minute if any questions are coming in.
Hello.
Yes.
Please, can I ask a question?
Please.
How can we make out, a person's trying to convey something with body language? So how can we make out that that person's not acting, it's not true what he's trying to convey and he actually means something else? There are some people who are very highly trained in body language. They can make, right? So they can put on a lot of appearances, but they mean something else. So is there any way we can find out that what is genuinely meant?
Yeah. So when you're saying that even if people are highly trained, there are ways in which that's called as body language leads. Right. So if you feel like you may be able to curb or just show something which is totally not you, still for a very brief time, the real emotion or real body language will come out. And if you're observing very keenly, you would know that this is what the person is trying to speak and not what he or she was trying to show throughout the conversation. So you just have to be keen observing to see the subtle changes that are happening in the body language. It may not be very obvious, but for trained observers, it's perfectly known that it's done. And if you know the person very well, then also it's very clearly seen to you.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Okay, one more question. Like you showed Steve Jobs' body language and very effective. But overuse of body language is also very dangerous. Like if you have seen Steve Ballmer's video of it was Microsoft CEO, and in his meeting with employees, he comes to the stage dancing and jumping, and it became very jocular once upon a time. Of course, it was little too much extreme, but overuse of body language is also not fair, right? That will show very artificial, very dramatic and all. What is your guidance on that?
When we talk of the tips of presentation that you would be using, it's more specific to the kind of personality you have. So if you're someone who's not comfortable in using gestures, you may have seen leaders who use very less amount of gestures. Still, they're able to connect with them. So it's more like the personal, say, individual that you are there. Some may be very effective using very less gestures, but very effective messages. Some love to exaggerate everything, and that's how their presentation style is. Unless and until it's something that you're very comfortable with, that's how you should be doing. If you're not comfortable, then you should not be doing, because then your body language reveals that you're not comfortable in the way you're presenting or what you're trying to speak.
But then in Toastmaster, you lose marks. In Toastmaster, for you to show body language in public speaking, particularly in Toastmasters community, and that is always a point of debate also. So even if I'm not comfortable using body language, possibly in Toastmaster speeches, you have to use body language. That's
so
what
it
my
could be
observation.
dependent on the kind of topic that you're discussing. So maybe when you're using story, then it would be different than your otherwise in genre. So if your speech is say for 10 minutes, so for 1 or 2 minutes, if you're speaking a story, then being dramatic would do. Similarly, when you're using humor, the kind of body language would be different as compared to when you're explaining some effective points. So it would be like a wave. So like when we talk about body language, it's more like a wave and not a straight line. It can't be everyone is over enthusiastic forever. They may be over enthusiastic, but then they would come back to normal, and then slowly and gradually that would be a line. So similarly, if you're saying that's how marks come, so it depends on the points that you're discussing. How would you tweak your body language depending on what you're discussing? Then your marks would also exist, and then you would be also comfortable.
Bhavna, I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah, Ritika here. So
Yes.
thank you. I appreciate your presentation, and I could cull out few points which I can, use to improve my body language. But are there any specific to my speech body language guidance or suggestions would you like to give in a nutshell?
Okay.
I was the first speaker.
Yes, I remember. It's just that I didn't touch upon the ones that could be tweaked because not most of us are comfortable in a collective setting giving points which may not be very positive. So that was a conscious decision not to do so. Even when we are doing say coaching and all, we give it as a individual person because not would be comfortable with everyone. So if you still want to say, I would go ahead.
Yeah, please go ahead. Or if you are comfortable, we can.
Yeah, I am perfectly comfortable. I remember also. Like I remember all threes, but then yeah. So yes, that's how you end up being. The way you were like, I think the place where you were seated, if that could be improved, the lighting could have been much better.
Okay.
That could work really well. And I think slightly frame ka thoda tha. Otherwise, if you wanted, if you wish, then you might try. But it's a good practice to sit only and give a presentation unless and until you really want to practice and all. But overall, I think frame ka thoda tha and lighting ka ha. And then if you want, here and there a gesture or two, otherwise it was good enough. Because I think pausing and all worked very well for you. And that's your natural way of speaking, which worked very well.
I generally struggle with, my speed is little slow, I guess. While I'm discussing on a serious discussion, it goes fine, just like right now. But when it's a monologue, it goes little slow. So I was just, I just wanted to know whether it was, working or it was not working.
With an online format, I would suggest it would be good if you're going slow, because if you go fast, the words may go if there is some issue of the lag. We specifically tell people, the ones who speak very fast, that slow down your pace. Okay. Because then in the process, it may go off.
Okay,
because
so
then what happens?
The pace was all right.
Yes. Okay. For online format, yeah. Okay. Even in the offline, if you're trying to put out a point and want to make sure that it's been heard, it's like the normal pace at which you speak.
Okay.
Try to keep that. Okay. Because in the process of speaking faster at certain points, it may happen at those points when you're not sure what to speak, then there would be a change in your word speed, which would be known to the audience. Like for example, if you speak at a normal pace, like you speak 5 words in a, say suppose in a minute, or 10, I don't know, say suppose 2 sentences in a minute, and then a question has been asked, and you're hardly able to speak 1 sentence. So now what's happening? The audience would know that there's something happened because of which this lag has occurred, which is very prominently seen by them.
Okay.
So if you want to change your pace, practice it beforehand, then only again, face to face. For online, it would work. Then it would work. So practice beforehand so that if there are tweaks here and there are some changes occur, then your voice doesn't go here.
Okay.
In terms of just the pace.
Right. Thank you so much. Just one last thing, which I have been given feedback a lot on, that generally when I'm addressing people face to face, I maintain a strict eye contact, and that works for me. But when it has shifted to the online mode, I am not extremely comfortable, just looking at that whole camera hole. And so my eyes goes here and there as if I'm thinking something else. So how do I consciously reduce that so that the audience feels that the connect is right there?
So this can be used by anyone. Specifically the Zoom, you have the sheet wherein everyone's audio and video is on and off. That just shift it and put it directly right below the camera. So it's not like you're looking at yourself forever. You're looking at everyone. So right now also, I may be looking at you, but right now the focus is more on the camera because it's right at my eye level. So if you're using a laptop, that's a very effective technique that you can use. Just put the strip of the participants like audio and video and put it directly below the icon, your camera. Then wherever you look on anyone and not in yourself, it will show that you're maintaining direct eye contact with them and not anywhere else. And once in a while, if you look away, it's perfectly fine because it shows that you're thinking or you're gathering your thoughts on what you're trying to speak.
Okay. Thanks. Thank you so much.
Yes. There's a question here as well. How to stop getting nervous in a virtual peer interaction? Generally, it's convenient to talk to juniors and seniors, but it's a bit challenging to gel up with new age mates in a virtual setting due to shakiness. So you're just nervous when it comes to interacting with the new set of the people that you have and not with the ones whom you're very comfortable with. Is that so? The question that has been asked, right? So if you know the person, it's perfectly fine. But if you don't know, then the problem may arise of you feeling bit of anxiousness could happen because you've never met with them. Try to have, like, when you're able to see them, try to know more about them, not just the in general talks that you have, and build a connect with them, or see at what points you're able to, or what things are making you anxious. That would make you help a lot. Meaning in general also, if you start feeling uncomfortable, try and see what exactly is the situation and how is your body language reacting to it. Because there are peculiar ways at which people react. Some may start, fiddling with their fingers or playing with their hair. So see what exactly is happening and when is it happening. So that you are aware next time when you're interacting with these individuals whom you're not that comfortable with or would lead to nervousness, you know how to deal with them. Does that answer your questions? Any other questions?
Yeah, I can you hear me? I have a question. This now that the focus is only on your face and the almost the shoulder and all, so does it have any grooming implication in the sense of right now? Otherwise, you have to be. I'm not saying that you can wear the shorts while you're in a meeting. No, I'm not asking that. Please, let's be clear. Point was that how can you make your presentation more effective since your the area of control is so reduced and all. I mean, because the focus seems to be only on voice now, not the gestures.
For that, we would suggest that you even keep your audio and video on as well, because even if the frame of your upper part of the body is visible, it's still able to connect with the person, then not using it. I would give you an example. Like, we have clients wherein, these guys are senior managers and all, and they refuse to use video calls at all because they felt like, what's the need of it? But when during the coaching process, we actually showed them you're not able to observe the individual. Some of them ended up bringing a huge TV and all just to see how the team was reacting. So even if the scope is very less, but that gives you enough idea of what the body language is trying to communicate to them. Because there would be times, even with the sessions, online sessions that I have, even right now, I know some of you are listening to me because you're giving me indications for that. If I don't get it, it is a problem for me also to continue. So the scope is less, but it's still good enough to build or understand what the person is trying to communicate to you, or whether to know they are listening or not.
Okay, thanks.
Right. Yeah, any more questions?
Also, there's one more question, Bhavna, by Stuti Goel, who will be conducting this workshop. Could you take that as well?
I didn't get the question, sorry.
In the chat box, there's one more question by Stuti Goel. She's asking who will be conducting this workshop. Can you take it as well?
Workshop as in the coaching?
Yes.
Yeah, it could be me only. Okay, strategy for when you want to focus on content. Any suggestions? Okay, so when we talk of content strategies also, that's a very separate part of us. Then we give a specific techniques, like one of them was used by even you all when you started speaking of humor. So there are types of humor, when to use it. Even storytelling, there are types, ways in which you can include, at what point should you include, whether it should be just one story or it should keep on going throughout the presentation. Those all comes up when you talk of content. So these are two strategies. There are many others as well, like grabbing attention, carrying a prop with you. Like you remember when Bill Gates actually went a like jar full of mosquitoes and he just put it out on the audience. Those are ways in which you can use other ways to create a connect with them. Thank you. Any other question?
I can ask just one more question. Since you mentioned about this keeping the cameras off, a lot of people keep their cameras off when they join this video conferencing. So, what do other people think about them?
What do other people think about them?
Yeah, in the sense, can such a person be effective in a meeting?
It depends on the kind of meeting that you are in, because mostly people, it would be better if it's a normal day-to-day meeting, then keeping a camera would work. On. Why? Because then whatever points are being getting suggest, your feedback would be known to the other person. If you're keeping the video off, that may not be visible. Because certain times it could be you're not very vocal about what you want, but then your body language is speaking a lot. If a senior is able to observe that, or even if your colleagues are able to observe that this is something which is amiss, that would go if you're not keeping your video off. On. Sorry.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Thanks. Yeah.
Any further questions?
Hi, Bhavna. I was just wondering if you could provide me some feedback over the speech I gave, or some kind of an improvement.
Okay. Yes. So in terms of improvement, I would suggest, let me think. Yes, the way you're sitting right now, that could be improved. How? If you could just lower down your frame and you're leaning your hands onto something. Yes, that would, yes. And now this would also not work because you've just put your hands down. See, the moment it goes down, that's not visible and shows less amount of confidence. So if you're putting your hands on the table, make sure that they are at sides, not onto them, but at sides. So they are visible also. Your body frame is not reducing, making you look less confident, but it's making you look still confident. And you're not leaning away. Like when you move too close to the person, it's like you're only a part of you is visible and not much. If you go a bit far, making sure your hands are not there, it works great. Like right now also, if the hands have to be somewhere on the side of the chair or something, it would work. Or at the side of the table, then it would work.
Bhavna, could I ask one more question? It's related to covering the stage. So when we talk about covering the stage, there are a lot of speakers who will move from one rear to another rear, and sometimes that does not draw focus to the speaker. Rather, it creates a distraction of too much of a to and fro movement from one end and juggling to another end. So would there be a specific imaginary area we should be creating, or like if there are no slides, we're just we presenting as a whole.
Yes. Okay. So when you talk of using the stage area, there are different ways of using it. What you're saying is it could be just like he's walking or she's walking and then they're speaking. Other than that, what normally we would suggest is if you're speaking at one place, you're finishing a point, let it get finished, then proceed to the next one. Then what happens? The audience knows this point has got over, and now you're moving to a next topic, and you're also walking. Then it builds the connect with the audience. It's not like you're walking and talking, because then it serves a distraction because they're doing two things: observing at you and observing the continuous movement that is happening with you walking. So it would be a good practice never to speak when you're walking. So finish a point, then proceed further, move at another level, and then start speaking. Now, why they do that? That's because just to build a connect with, if it's a huge audience, I guess that's when you're asking, right? So if it's a huge audience, you want to build connect with every part of the audience. So then it's a good practice, but not when you're speaking, you don't walk. So finish a point, move ahead, then finish, then move ahead. That way you would be able to cover the entire space and not create a distraction. Any other questions? Okay. Komal, you want to speak?
I'm sorry. Okay, so this brings us to the end of our workshop. A very heartfelt gratitude to the entire team of Toastmasters Delhi for having us here and this collaboration. And if you have any queries or doubts, you could reach out to us on the email and the number given on your screen. And also, you can also follow us on our social media handles wherein we post content every day regarding body language. So that is it from our end. Thank you so much for joining in today. It was great interacting with each one of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Komal and Bhavna, for making this such an interactive session and organizing this so logically and coherently throughout the 1 hour. So thank you so much, and for answering all our questions so wonderfully. Thank you. I think our speakers got a lot of insights today from your feedback. So thank you so much for doing the session. I think we'll post these details on the emails registered. So I'll send these out to the registered participants if they want to connect with them.
That's great. Thank you.
Any doubts still or any questions?
Yeah.
Because that's a work in progress. We'll have more doubts coming in and we'll get in touch with you. Thank you so much for that session.